Welcome to another edition of Vigorously with me, Valpline Hands. Wonderfully excited for this episode because we're going to get into millennial things. We're going to get into emo things. We're going to get into social media things, our favorite subjects on this podcast with creator, host, friend to the outcast, and doer of all the things, Imperium. Welcome, girl. I am thrilled to have you.
I'm thrilled to be here. What a title. Thank you so much.
Let's go. I mean, it's all facts. It's all facts. Everything I've read, everything I've seen online. Your message, really, though, is what resonated with me. And that's what made me hit follow. That's what made me reach out. You and I both encourage anyone who feels left out to be themselves authentically. And just, we want to create those spaces where you don't have to feel like the weird kid because we grew up as the weird kids. We're emo kids. We're millennials. Like,
Exactly.
weird time to grow up, just even if you're not emo like in
Yeah.
general, all the above. So I wanted to ask, start by asking anyway, why was it important to you to create that space?
Because I grew up as a little bit of an outcast. I definitely had some friends, but no one ever really felt the same as me. I know that
Yeah.
sounds so edgelordy. No one understands me. But like I just felt like the outcasts also need to kind of band together because
hmm
everybody wants to feel a sense of community. Everybody wants to belong in something. So
hmm
why not it be this?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. I always struggled with fitting in too for a ton of reasons. Number one, the Lydia Dietz aesthetic is just kind of God-given. I'm very pale from my English mother and dark haired from my Italian father. So it just kind of happened. And then, I got into metal, I got into emo music. It was coming up when you and I think we're close in age. We're coming up in high school in the early aughts.
Mhm.
And it was the thing. It was the thing that gave us comfort. And I always had this love-hate relationship with Pink, though. And you seem to have solved this and found the balance because
Oh, the
you
color
are a
pink?
Pink girly. Yes. Well, I mean, and the
Yeah.
listen. I
The
did see
singer
Pink in
too.
concert. I know. I did see Pink doing the acrobatics last summer on the Summer of Carnival tour. So I'm not
Oh,
mad
did
at
you
that
go?
either. I did go, and it was worth
Ah,
every fucking penny. Let me
I
tell
bet it
you.
was. I love the meme that's like get down pink, but like I love that she's fucking just going for it and just doing all the shit she wants to do. But
It
Pink and
is.
I, yeah, Pink and I didn't always have this love relationship.
Okay,
Uh,
what's your story? Because I have one too.
yeah, okay, perfect. I hated pink as a kid.
hmm
Despised it. Pink was just like the worst color to me. And even just like going back to school shopping with my older sister, she would always make fun of me and like bring out these pink items. And I'd be like, no, I would never wear pink. Never say never, first off. And then once that kind of dissolved in college university years,
hmm
you kind of realize you're internalizing all of this misogyny. And for me, that was with the color pink. Pink to me was weak,
Yes.
it was feminine, it was
Yes.
this like symbol of like girly. And to me, that was like not cool because I wanted to be a tomboy. I wanted to be, like one of the boys. And
Right.
then you grow up and you realize that everything is for the boys, and boys don't even actually like you or consider you to be a fellow human for most of the time. So,
Not at that age, yeah. Like,
yeah, exactly, exactly. So then I was like, had a little conversation with myself, and I was like, you know what? Pink is actually fucking dope. Like, pink, every time I see pink, and you can't tell because I have the mood lighting on in the house right now,
yeah,
but
you have a
my
pink
couch is
chair.
pink. I have the pink chair. Yeah, I
hmm
have these little bits of pink in my house, and it brings me with so much joy. Every time I see the color, I just feel, happy. And then mixed with the other
hmm
best color, black,
Period.
yeah, that's it. That's all you need, the duality, you know?
Period. Avril made that okay. Avril eventually made that color combo okay in my book.
She
That was the start.
did.
That was the start.
Yes.
And then as I got older, I had the same reflections about, ooh, I've got some internal, gender norms that shouldn't be norms and misogyny
Mhm.
going on up in here too. Like the amount of years that I disrespected Baby Spice and the Pink Ranger are just
Oh,
endless.
same.
For
Yeah,
only
despise them.
only because of the pink thing. And it's so pick me if you really think about it. It is the most
It
pick me thing in the
is.
world to say, "Oh, I don't like pink. I'm not like other girls." Like,
Exactly. But then you realize, like, No, I am like other girls and I love other girls. Girls are
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Or
that whole like reversal you put on yourself, the Uno reverse card.
I mean, I don't really wear a lot of it just because I prefer other things, and it really is as simple as that. It's not a total rejection anymore. I'll put it that way.
Hmm.
And I've kind of resolved the whole thing in my head about, oh, well, girls who are blonde and wear pink, like they're not like me, they're out, blah 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 blah. Like you're not on my team. No, what,
Yeah, us
ma'am? What
versus
what team?
them.
What
Yeah.
team? Man, this is a Wendy's. We
This is
don't
a
need to be.
ma'am. This is a Tim Hortons drive-through.
Are you okay? The Tim Hortons thing. Now, I've been to Winnipeg many times,
I'm so
and
sorry.
I,
Why were you in Winnipeg? What
because I
business
was
did you
watching,
have?
because I wanted to watch the Jets and Blackhawks, and
Is that a
when,
sports?
yeah, hockey, Winnipeg Jets.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm a bad Canadian. I actually don't like
It's
sports
okay.
or
Well,
hockey.
so that's one of your professional hockey teams, and they were decent at least that season. And the Chicago Blackhawks were closer to me at the time, and so I was like, we just got our passports, like I was like, I want to use that. So
Fucking
we
go to
just
Winnipeg.
let's go because I live in Minnesota and it's an 8 hour drive. So I was like,
True.
there's our excuse. Like, let's go. My husband and I just did this Dumb and Dumber road trip into Winnipeg from from like Minnesota through Fargo, North Dakota, and then to Winnipeg. Got stopped by the Mounties at checkpoint because they were like, who the hell crosses at this point, like the North Dakota line and the Winnipeg line, or like
Yeah.
and the Manitoba line? They're like, who even what? And they kept asking us all the questions, all the questions, all
Yeah,
the
I
questions.
bet. They're like, why
After
are you here? For what cause? How
they
dare
were,
you?
it was one Mountie in particular, and she was just like on us. She was asking all the questions, and then the other two Mounties are in the back office, just like, oh yeah, I got some steak ready, beauty, eh? Like they're just happy about their like
Just so
steak or
unserious.
grilling. They're happy to grill, later that day. This was like for y'all, it was probably tropical. This was like the first weekend in April, but it's still like
Oh
20
yeah.
below because Winnipeg,
Yep.
and
Winnipeg plays by no one's rules.
nobody's rules. But it was very similar to Minnesota, so it wasn't really shocking to me. It was just funny that I'm like, y'all are talking about grilling. You're talking about grilling, and it is 20 below with wind chill, sir. Only a Canadian.
Oh
Only a
yeah, for
Canadian.
sure. Barbecue season for us lasts until about November if we can swing it, just because our
Yeah.
summers are so hot.
Oh
Our
yeah.
weather doesn't make any fucking sense anymore.
It is. Yeah.
It really
Neither
doesn't.
does
It's like
ours.
as soon as March is done, it's like, okay, we'll give you that nice little tease of hot week. And then
Mhm.
once that's gone, fucking snowfall, snowstorms, ice storms. And you're like,
Why?
what do you mean?
I mean, Minnesota can be very similar. I don't
Yeah.
get it. Like even into April, sometimes we'll have that random 2 feet of snow, and I'm like, what? Why?
Yeah,
Why?
for whomst? What is this for?
Who ordered this?
Yeah.
Amazon return, send it back to Jeff Bezos. We didn't order this,
We
Amazon.
didn't we don't want it. Yeah.
No, no, but it was a great trip. I mean, and I got to see like I didn't know the Canadian Human Rights Museum was there. So while we were just like walking around, walking the city before the game, we went to see that, and that taught me a lot about how Canada views the rest of the world and just the history behind it. And I was like, wow, this is the first museum that I've seen that actually called the America's War on Terrorism genocide.
Oh no.
And I was like, no, but for like between
It is
you
what
and
it
me,
is. For,
I was
yeah.
like, I felt the same thing. There were many years where I felt like we shouldn't have been in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I was like, whoa, this is mind blowing because you would never see that in an American museum. So just to
Really?
get, no, they're all proud of it. They're proud of that.
Ooh.
They're proud of that period. And I'm like, I know we look like asses to the rest of the world for that, but it's just, it just was interesting to see it like on a plaque in a line of like genocides that happened throughout the world, like somewhere between like Darfur and the Holocaust, America's war on terror. Like they had like a timeline. and it was
Ooh.
just mind blowing. Anyway, that was the longest Winnipeg tangent that nobody needed, but that was
Honestly, shout out Winnipeg. Sorry to sorry to hate on you, but you don't bring it.
but every time I've talked to somebody from Eastern Canada, and the Tim Hortons thing was what brought this up too, because every
Mhm.
time because I know Tim Hortons is an Eastern Canada thing, and everybody that I've talked to from like Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, well, not so much Montreal because y'all speak too much French that I don't understand in Montreal, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't get it. I mean, kudos to you for being a dual language country, but I don't always
They have
understand it.
their own version of French though, which is the
Do
thing.
they?
Like they
Oh,
do. They do, and they're really, really like selective about it. So if
yeah.
you, because we are a dual language country, we
Mhm.
learn French in our schools for all of public school, sorry, most of public school and all of high school,
Right, which is what I wish we did here with Spanish because we have
which
a
is
Spanish speaking
awesome.
population. I wish we
Yeah.
did that here, but for some reason we just have a hard on for English and we don't start Spanish until like 8th grade. And it's like, bro, we should have learned those skills in the very beginning to make it stick.
It's true. And then, but you try to like, you go to Montreal and you're like, oh, I'm gonna use this French that I've learned. But they're like, your accent's wrong. Or they just like won't acknowledge you with it. But like if
The
you go to
shame.
Paris and try to speak French, they're like, oh, like
You
well done. I don't
tried.
know how to say well done in French. Bon champ.
Très bien. I
Très
think I
bien, exactly.
très bien. I
Yeah,
think that means very good. I think. Or no,
the
that's a
Quebec,
Spanish tree. That's Spanish very good.
no, très bien
Um,
is
is it?
French.
Is it? I
French
don't know.
speakers, let us know. We're botching it.
Oh, they'll let us know. Anybody who's French speaking, just tell us if we got this right. I don't know. But that, yeah, the whole trip was great. Love the country. The Tim Hortons thing was it was like a bucket list for me thing for me too, to watch a hockey game with some beer and Tim Hortons. So that was
Mhm.
another reason why we did the Winnipeg trip, and like we're gonna watch a hockey game like in Canada and do it right with beer and Tim Hortons, which I
Exactly.
thought
Do
was
as the
pretty on
Canadians
brand.
do.
Right. I thought that was perfect. I thought it was perfect. And then woo, I was like, this is a lot to learn. But anyway, in my in my travels, in my experience, in our journeys, social media has definitely come along the way with me. Like I definitely was Instagramming on that trip. I was doing stories while I was on that trip. We both have been in the content creation game for some time. I would
Mhm.
love to hear how you got into it and how you feel your journey has been.
Totally. So my social media lore actually begins in a completely different niche.
Oh,
When I started doing and posting on social media regularly, I was a cosplayer.
okay, like anime or
Yeah, anime, video games, like I
okay,
was all up in it. So I would make costumes, I would buy costumes and then, take pictures in them and post them online and
that
that
was
was the
fun.
extent of it. Yeah, yeah. So I was in that for a couple years, I think. So I kind of got used to doing the social media thing through that, but when I started it, I'm trying to think of like the actual years, but I'm terrible with time and dates, so just forgive me. But once I kind of saw the cosplay scene kind of get super saturated, and then once the pandemic hit and kind of everything like that, I was like,
Yeah.
you know what? I'm not actually as passionate about this as I am anymore. Like it all felt like clout chasey race
Oh,
to the top where there's nothing there. To me, anyway, in the circle that I was in, it felt very competitive, and it's like, guys, at the end of the day, we're all just nerds dressing up as characters. Like,
calm down.
we gotta really reel this in.
Yeah, we're dressing up as
So
Aang from Airbender. Like, calm down.
exactly, exactly, in a good way. But it was like, I'm not passionate about this anymore. It's also taking a lot of like my brain power, my resources, money, time, and I was like, okay, well, if I'm gonna show up in social media for myself, what is something about myself that has, been with me and that's authentic to me?
Mm,
And, jokingly I was like, oh, well, I'm still an emo kid. I'm always gonna be that emo kid.
period.
So kind of along the same lines, this is like pre-early pandemic, when everything went to shit. I lost all of my work, as did many other people, and
Yeah.
I started my merch store senior because I needed to use my graphic design degree to make some sort of money so
Yeah.
that I could
No,
live in this
yeah.
house. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna come up with some sticker designs or whatever and see how far that goes. And then I made an account for that, and I was like, well, I should probably just start a brand new account for myself
Mhm.
along that like emo niche so that I can like talk about how I make it and like showcase it and stuff like that. And then that account just kind of gained way more momentum than I was ever anticipating. I
Okay.
started making like emo memes and like silly videos about being like elder emo and
You
stuff like
still
that.
do. I love senior citizens. I love
Yeah,
how you spell senior citizens.
right? Like it's so good. It's so good. And people, people get mad all the time. They're like, "That's not emo. That's scene. You can't. It's not emo." And I'm like, "Shut the fuck up, bro.
Honestly,
Like
yeah.
everything is emo. If you go up and stand by a microphone and sing your
Mhm.
feelings out, that's
Yeah.
emotional. That's
Right.
emo is like is has had this like evolution over the
Mhm.
years. It's kind of like Pokemon, like you got like
Mhm.
the three stages.
Catch them all.
It's like or like
Catch.
Digimon because it turns into some weird fucking sexy girl at the end. But you
Oh yeah.
like
Evolution.
Angemon or something, Angewoman.
Animorphs, those books that were like in the Scholastic book fairs.
Oh
Oh
my
my
God,
God, yeah.
love Scholastic Book Fair.
Yeah. They
But
were
yeah, so
always
that
there.
was kind of my journey into like the elder emo space, and then
Mhm.
it's been going great. You get to meet a lot of people in that community, and I feel like a lot of the content, a lot of the silly content resonates with people because you
Yes.
never leave that emotional side of you, if that makes
No.
sense.
Why
Like
do
it's
you
always
think?
going to be with you.
Right. I've been asking myself this and I haven't quite found the answer. So I'm curious if you have. What do you think? What is it about the emo phase? Like our MySpace, RAR, XOXO, glitter background phase, just that just has a chokehold on our heart.
I think it's all based around this nostalgic
Hmm.
element, this nostalgic factor, because I'm a millennial. I'm 30 years old, so I grew up with technology's evolution. Like I grew up along the
Right.
whole
We know
technological
before and
timeline.
after.
Exactly. I did dial-up internet. I used floppy
Yes.
disks.
Yep.
I used a Napster, so I have all of this kind of background knowledge, and it's almost like the pre-social media stuff, minus
Yeah.
MySpace. I guess MySpace was a social media, but it's kind of like pre-smartphone era that a lot of us really cling to because we have
Hmm.
all these like romanticized ideas of what it was like back then.
Hmm.
I'm not sure if it actually was as good back then or if it was just bad in a different way that we didn't
Yeah.
realize because we were kids.
It just spoke to us. The lyrics, I think, are what spoke to us. Like
Yeah,
when
and
I
all
hear
this
what,
music came out with
right.
like talking about feelings and you're going through puberty and stuff and you're feeling these feelings for the first time or for however many times and you're just beginning to like learn about yourself as a person. They
Yeah.
really resonate.
Yeah. My equivalent of an FU to my entire high school was blasting Good Charlotte's the anthem. Period. I don't ever want to be you. Like, and I would still bump
Exactly.
that. I'm 34 and I
Yeah.
still bump that. I don't care. Like,
My mom got so mad when I had like Linkin Park's One Step Closer. The shut up when
ah!
I'm talking to you. She's like, turn that off. Like, no.
We've all had those moments with moms. I love it. When I was, well, I see you got a guitar behind you. I tried guitar for a little bit and I was getting the chords to Green Day's Brains too. And she literally
Nice.
knocked on my door and was like, just stop. Just stop. Because it was, the riff is so repetitive. Like, I kind of understand looking back now. And I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, but I was trying so hard to learn.
Let me learn a skill. It's also not my guitar, it's my partner's. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
yeah. I grew up a drummer instead, but you can't really bring
Oh,
drums to a Toronto apartment. So I haven't
no.
played in a while.
Not without pissing off the neighbors.
Hmm.
We
Hmm.
try, we generally try not to do that. Sometimes it's inevitable, but we generally try not to do that. I'm in an apartment too, and that's the one thing that I can't wait about getting a house someday is just the ability to be a little bit louder.
Oh my God. I dream about having a house. Like it's
Do
it's
you?
like it's like it feels like a fantasy, like a goal that
It
like I'll never
does.
attain. But
It's a
just thinking
millennial
about
fantasy.
it is. It's like having a backyard. What?
Shh.
Are you joking? Having like a basement, having more than one bedroom so that I can like put stuff in and I don't need my
Right.
living room to be my gym and my office.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a
It,
maybe one day,
someday.
probably never, but who knows?
Someday. You never know. Like if that content creation thing takes off, you never know. But
Oh fuck, the content creation thing is not a good job though. Like it is not stable at all.
no, it's not stable, and most people don't realize that it's also a full-time thing. I'll put it this way: it
Yeah.
very easily can be a full-time thing if you want it to be. You can take
Hmm.
it to that level. I have a day job, so I can't do go as hard as like I know that full-time creators can. But it's very easy to slip into that habit for sure.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I was looking at your other videos, Chip Chat. Hilarious name.
Oh yeah.
I think you're interviewing some band members too from just the brief look that I had at it. Tell me about Chip Chat. What is that? You're just eating, just having a bro time.
Yeah. Well, anyone who's familiar with Toronto or lives in Toronto, we have this really famous dive bar called Sneaky D's.
Okay.
And Sneaky D's actually every Friday night hosts an emo night. So it's kind of like a
Oh,
little, yeah. So it's a little
okay.
cult like emo following that goes to Sneaky D's on Fridays for their emo nights. They also host different events and things like that. But
Mhm.
Sneaky D's was kind of like the place for band people to go, music people, that kind of thing. So I'm in cahoots with Emo Night, helping them with some social stuff.
Got it.
And they came up with us with this idea to do a merger with Emo Night and Sneaky D's called Chip Chat, where we eat the Sneaky D's food and try to gain business and awareness to Sneaky D's as well. Because they
Right.
had everything in Toronto is being bulldozed so that they can put a condo there. So
Sounds like Rochester, Minnesota, and
yeah,
Minneapolis. Yeah.
yeah. And nobody can fucking afford to live there. But
Right.
there was talks of it being shut down, and I think ever since that announcement, people have kind of like forgotten about it or not really known
Mm.
that it's existed. So it was kind of like a way to bring awareness back to the restaurant, but also have some really cool chats with Toronto local bands. So
Oh, okay.
it's been really fun. It's been really fun.
That's where the music element comes in. They're
Yeah,
local
yeah,
Toronto
yeah.
bands. Okay, makes sense. So this is a place that means a lot to your community.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of us are don't really go out because we're homebodies and introverts. But when we do go out, it is to emo night for sure. And
That
CED's has
is.
just been there forever, and like the food's great. It's reasonable prices, you know.
Mhm.
I feel like I'm not sponsored by Sneaky D's, but but it is. I do commend it, and I do recommend it. So. But yeah, the chip
Fun.
chats have been really fun because I've always wanted to be in journalism and have an interview job,
Yeah.
host
Yeah.
job per se. But they don't just have those in on Indeed. You kind of just have to like make them for yourself in this day and age.
Kind of, yeah, because depending on what type of company is housing the media platform, whether it's print, whether it's video, whether it, whatever it is, they may or may not be looking for that. I mean, it's the same thing here in the States. It's kind of changing that whole
Hmm.
climate with what journalism looks like, and it's all extremism anymore, at least here, especially this year being a election year for us. Like
Oh, true.
it's just a coverage of like extreme sides, extremism on both sides of the political aisle. So
Hmm.
it gets to be exhausting. So I think now you kind of have to be careful about like who you align yourself with if you are a journalist, because
Yeah,
that's sort of
true.
how they're branding themselves anymore. That's what's being offered. So it's almost better in a way and more authentic to yourself. You have more creative control if you just create your own content on social media the way that, like you and I do. Like I got out of American radio for that reason because it
Oh,
was
really?
just,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
I got
Okay.
out of it because it was getting to be exhausting. They weren't promoting independent bands. They weren't doing anything for the local communities like I thought we were. Like I was able to do that in college. Like that was definitely the vibe in college in my college radio station.
Hmm.
Not the vibe when it came to like terrestrial American radio. Just not how they do it. They're
Wow.
numbers based. They only care about what it is that they can sell and what it is that they can easily market. So they want to put everything in a little box.
That's
And
so annoying.
it's very annoying. And that's a big,
God.
that's honestly reason number like 5,000 that I left. And I just decided to start creating content on my own and doing my own podcast, which I can have conversations like this. Like I wouldn't have been able to when I
Yeah,
was
you'd be
doing
like
that.
censored and stuff, right? From
I'd
talking
be,
about stuff
well,
like that.
I'd be censored and I'd be limited on time, literally.
Mm.
Like they would I couldn't have a full half-hour conversation on the radio. Are you kidding? Uninterrupted or just so that it can naturally flow. I couldn't do that, but I can now.
Yeah,
And
fuck
it's
them.
so that's a big I mean, that's a big part of why. But one of the bonuses was that I did get free tickets to Warp Tour on like one of the last years, like back in 2017. And
Hell yeah.
the reunion rumors, I know you're paying attention to
I know.
those.
Wait, what? Sorry, what's Warp Tour?
What
Yeah, of
is
course.
Warp? What
Of
are
course.
this? What is Warp Tour? What are this? It's like there's so much potential for it to return. I know nothing's been like completely solidified just yet on it. Initial thoughts though, we're stoked, right? Well, how do you feel?
Yes, I am two things about it. So, initial reaction, hell yeah, super excited. Let's
Yeah,
fucking go. Monster for days.
yeah,
Then when I apply some like critical thinking and, take the rose-colored glasses off, I'm like, okay, Live Nation, ticket prices are going to be minimum $100 starting.
yeah, yeah,
Resale is going to be ridiculous.
yep.
Secondly, is it all going to be legend bands, like legacy bands? Is it just going to be the
Mm,
MyChem? Is it going to be Fall Out Boy? Not that I don't love them,
right.
but is it going to do the same thing as it used to, where it like brought in maybe bands you haven't heard of or bands that are up and coming in the scene, maybe
Right.
some more female bands,
Mhm.
like having some variety in that kind of sense. If that is the case, then I'm a little more excited. But if it's just another festival that's bringing in the nostalgia bait, I just don't.
We have
I'm
that.
happy and excited for it, but like I just can't. I
Right.
I don't know. I just want more from it. And like, is it going to be a tour, or is it just going to be in the States?
Yeah.
Like, I
That
have a couple like thoughts about it, but yeah, definitely initially excited, but have little trepidations, little
we're
hesitations as an adult. So
cautiously optimistic
yeah,
is
what are
how
your
I
thoughts
put it too.
and feelings?
Cautiously optimistic. I'm like, what makes me a little bit nervous is that it's kind of giving Fire Festival and that nothing is like seriously confirmed just yet. But
Mm,
there's all this chatter, and so far all it is just chatter. That's making me a little bit nervous. And then I'm also wondering the same thing about, okay, well, what type of lineup are they going to choose? Is it going to be that nice balance that we're talking about, the nostalgia bands, but the legends, the icons, the Good Charlottes, the MyChem, the Paramore, uh, Rise Against, Less Than Jake, the ones that have taken the
totally.
stage at Warped thousands of times. Are we going to combine that with the up and comers, the independents, the ones that maybe we don't know? Are we going to do that? Or, like you said, are we just going to do nostalgia bait? Because if it is, at least here in the US, we have that with when we were young.
Exactly.
And
So what's the differentiation? Or
so,
is it just
right,
is Live Nation, sorry, is When We Were Young Live Nation as well?
probably. I
I
think it
don't
is. I
know.
haven't checked it out, but it's expensive as hell because it's Vegas.
I'm
But
going, but
it's,
yeah, it is.
yeah.
Like, I'm gonna be there, of course, but it is
But
expensive. Yeah.
so you get the vibe. Like we essentially have that with that festival. So
Hmm.
what is Warped? The only way to me that Warped can make itself interesting and get the ticket sales is by doing that balance of here's the legends and now here's the up and comers. Like there's got to be that balance, I think, for people to want to take part and actually buy the ticket anymore. Because you're right, concert tickets are outrageous anymore. We're a lot choosier about who we go to see or don't see.
Yeah, you have to be like, you only have a certain budget of entertainment you can do every month unless you're financially irresponsible, which yes, I am.
We
But
do want to pay. Our electric bill is on. Our internet is
mm,
on. The bill is paid to make this
beans and
happen.
rice, but we're going to the fucking show, okay?
Girl, I've been on peanut butter and jelly and rice. I've been that low before. Like
It's
it
yeah,
just
it's real. It's real life. But yeah,
uh
I'm wondering if like they saw the success of when we were young
mhm.
and they were kind of in talks like, oh, well, why don't we just bring Warp Tour back? Like it feels like
I don't know.
a feud, or are they gonna like go together? And also, can we have it in the fall?
Yeah, where
Do
it's
we need to
cooler.
be melting on the asphalt
Yeah,
of
yes.
Warp Tour, you
Yes.
know?
Yes. I have done
We're
that before.
old.
Like we we need a break. No,
We
literally,
just
like
need different comforts now.
we do. Well, last time I went to Warp, like I got heat exhaustion and I ended up throwing up because
Oh no.
I felt it and my first clue should have been that all the water I was drinking was not going through me, it was staying.
I
Like I
hate it when that
didn't have to
happens. And then you
pee.
keep drinking and you're like,
Right.
why isn't this going anywhere?
Yeah, I'm like, I don't have to pee. That's interesting. What is this? And then I found out later, like just heat exhaustion. And then a medic is running over to me, like, what's going on? What's going on? And I'm like, okay, so I swear it's not drugs, it's just heat exhaustion.
Points at the sun. It's that.
It's that horrible ball of Satan in the sky. Like, but no, I'd love to see them do it. I just think, yeah, there's definitely a way they could do it right. They could do it in the fall so it's not competing anymore. And if they balance that lineup well enough, I think we could do it. I think so. And if they make it just like a fun bands and monster promos and things like that too, just like it used to be, then I would like to see that. I might consider actually paying for that, but that
Yeah. Well,
remains to be seen.
I made a reel about it recently where it was like, I love that we're trying to bring Warp Tour back, but let's also bring back Nintendo Fusion Tour. Have you heard or seen anything about Nintendo Fusion Tour?
No, I haven't, not lately, but I remember the
No, because
name.
it only I think it only happened for a couple years, but basically it was a fusion between Nintendo and like emo and pop punk bands, and they would
That
have
makes
like
sense.
booths set up as like a festival thing where you could play the new demos. There had like the Twilight
Ah,
Princess demo while fucking Hawthorne Heights and Fall Out Boy are playing.
let's
It's
go.
just like I was like, these are my two favorite things together. Where is that? Where's the fun? Where's the silly goosery? Come on. It doesn't always have to just be alcohol and Monster at festivals.
Yeah, that's true too. So are you a gamer? Do you like to game?
I do like to game. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I am a big Final Fantasy person. Final Fantasy VII is my
Mhm.
favorite.
Okay.
And what else have I been playing? I honestly got re obsessed with Animal Crossing. I know that's
Uh,
not like a really gamer girl thing to say,
it
but
counts. It's a game.
it's
It
like I'm
counts.
like 600 hours, no joke, into my Animal Crossing island. It's a little bit embarrassing, but once you see it, you'll understand.
You put work into it. It's kind of like me and The Sims. Like I used to feel
Oh
really
yeah.
lame. I used to feel really lame for saying like my game is The Sims and not like Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, which I do like those too. But I but The Sims was my jam. And every like
Ah,
expansion pack, like Sims Vacation, Sims Hot Dates,
Sims
Sims Pet.
Pets. Yeah.
Yes. I was
Okay,
like,
hot
oh,
take though.
right.
Sims 2 is the best.
Is it? I don't know if I ever played Sims 2. I
No?
definitely
Okay.
had the original and this expansion packs, but yeah.
I don't know if I ever did the original, but I did the Sims 2. Anything after Sims 2 is way too convoluted for me. I don't care about their hopes and dreams. No, 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 no. Their feelings? Absolutely not. No, no, no. This is my world. You shut up.
You are going to drown in the pool. I'm going to delete the ladder so you drown so that your wife can marry some other guy she has the hots for. That
Exactly.
played
I knew
that
I was
scenario
a
out.
weird kid because
Yeah.
I would always try to flirt with death. Like I would make like a big family and then kill them off like one by one. I had a little family graveyard in the back just so that I could flirt
Yes.
with the Grim Reaper. And every
Oh my
time he
God.
would like we would get the a green plus, I was like, "Yes. One step closer."
Only an emo. Only an emo would be able to say that. I used to make those graveyards too, and they were hilarious. But they would always like make my game free sometimes whenever the ghosts would pop up from the graveyard, and I'd be like, "Damn it!" But it was so cool to watch, regardless.
Oh
Like I didn't
yeah.
care. So what's next for you? What can we look forward to coming from you? Anything in general, your content wise?
Oh my gosh. You'd think at this point I would have like a content scheduler and like so many things coming down the pipeline, but I don't. I'm
That's
doing
okay.
everything off the cuff. I have some interviews coming out though. I actually have one coming out tomorrow, September 27th, 25th. I
Hmm.
don't know. With lights that I did at All Your Friends Fest. So that will be very fun to get a reaction for. And I have some
Yeah.
other interviews with All American Rejects and things like that coming
Oh,
down the content pipeline, but I haven't
jealous.
edited them yet.
Oh, that's
So,
so fun. I can't wait to watch them all. That's exciting. Thank you so much for your time, Imperium. I can't wait to see what's next.
yeah, thank you so much for having me.